It was just last April when life changed dramatically for an Akron area young mother. A diagnosis of triple negative breast cancer quickly turned into a mission to educate others. Laura Alio, along with her husband Michael, began a social media campaign and are here today to share their story. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So, was cancer on the radar for you?
It really was not. So my grandmother had breast cancer at 42, but with an aunt and my father having cancer, they were tested for the BRCA gene, and they both tested negative. And so for me, we just thought it was a fluke, a coincidence that my grandmother had gotten breast cancer this young. So for me, no, breast cancer nor any cancer was really on the radar. I've always been healthy.
Yeah, and I think for us, breast cancer was always something that you felt people who were older get, people in their 60s and above. But once we came out with it, we started to discover that there are a lot more kids our age, people in their 30s, young 40s that are getting this type of disease.
We like to think of ourselves as kids.
Yes,
but
kids at heart.
About 5% of all breast cancer cases are under the age of 40. And so if you think about 1 in 8 women that will be diagnosed with breast cancer, about 1 in 200 women will get breast cancer under the age of 40.
And triple negative, we don't hear too much about that. Can you tell us what that type of cancer is?
So you have, right now they've discovered 3 different hormones that they can treat breast cancer with. There's progesterone, there's estrogen, and then there's Herceptin, or the HER2 gene, and or cell. And so they can target therapy. If you're triple negative, that means your cancer doesn't respond to any of those 3. 20% of women have triple negative breast cancer. The treatment's just a little bit different, and women like Joan London, Robin, what is her name? Robin
from Fox
Roberts?
8?
Robin Roberts,
okay.
Yeah, from ABC. They had triple negative as well. So it's been out a little bit, but it's one that's less common.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do when you hear this news? You seem so educated, and it's only been a few months.
Yeah.
You're speaking like a doctor almost.
Yeah. Dr. Silverman probably wouldn't think so. She's very educated. But, we've really tried to become as educated as possible in terms of understanding what we need to do to improve my odds.
Yeah, and a big part of it too is being your own advocate, making sure that you align yourself with the right healthcare professionals, the right healthcare systems, but also doing your research so you understand the options that are available.
And you guys decided to take to Facebook right away. What was the decision to do that, or why did you choose to do that? And I know a lot of people have been watching your videos and following your journey.
Well, I think that for us, when I heard the word cancer and when I called him and let him know about the diagnosis, we were in shock. And we felt as if a lot of the people that we had come in contact with who had had cancer before have kind of suffered in silence, and they haven't really vocalized what's been going on. And so when we found out that my cancer, I had gotten scans and I knew that my cancer hadn't spread and that I was stage 2B, and I knew my diagnosis was a triple negative breast cancer, I came out and I did a Facebook post, and we thought it would only be maybe 1 or 2, and just to update my family and our friends from Chicago and Metro Detroit. And in the end, people kept on reaching out and saying how enlightening it was for them that, my father, I would get emails, my father has cancer, my mother has cancer. You've really helped enlighten me as to what they're going through right now.
Right.
Sort of demystifying it for people.
Yeah, absolutely. And when Laura first got the diagnosis, I remember picking her up outside of work, and the first thing she said was, we have to assign some purpose behind this. And so if we can turn a bad situation into a positive one that affects people's lives, we are all about that. And especially on social media, a lot of times you see people that are, boasting about all of their successes, but it's kind of through struggle that you're able to relate to people and create more special bonds. And so we've obviously used it as a tool to update our family and friends, but at the same time, we have complete strangers that are coming out of the woodwork that are interested in our story and are gaining something from it.
Right.
What does that do for your attitude when you're sharing and verbalizing? Do you think that helps you fight the disease?
I think so. I'm
Yeah.
an oversharer to start off with. I've said that from the very beginning.
Yeah, she's not a private person.
Yeah, I'm not a private person, so I will say all of my symptoms. I will let people know exactly what I do. I will say all of my emotions. But for me, it's helpful because, like he said, I feel as if there's a community there working through this disease with me. I do not feel like I'm alone. And from the very beginning, he's been a tremendous support to me, and so has the community at large. And I think that's been important from an individual standpoint, and then also as being a young mother. I discovered my breast cancer when I was 7 months postpartum and I was breastfeeding, and I thought it was this lump, was a plugged tear duct that had just grown and grown, and so I went to see my OBGYN. And so coming from being a young mother and then trying to take on all this is very, very difficult. And I realized that it's the community that we've surrounded ourselves with that have helped us through this entire process. And so making them a part of it has just seemed so natural.
I know you like to educate other women to prevent possibly breast cancer. What should we be doing as women who don't currently have cancer?
As women who currently don't have cancer, the first thing is that I didn't realize how much genetics do not play a part in cancer. Most of the time, young women that I'm speaking to, they do not have cancer anywhere in their family. They were the first ones diagnosed. So everyone needs to be very cognizant. Starting at age 20, women need to understand that they're giving themselves good self-exams. And by good, I mean that they understand that they need to lie down, they need to stand up, they need to be feeling around their breasts, they need to be checking for discharge, they need to be checking for any dimples or something that looks weird in their breast, because women are not going to get mammograms until their 40s or maybe they're 50. And another thing to point out is if you are older, you need to ask and make sure that you do not have dense breasts. And if you do have dense breasts, get a recommendation from the radiologist at that point what you should be doing in lieu of a mammogram, because the mammogram's not going to be picking up any lumps or cysts.
And the genetic testing, do you recommend that?
100%.
Absolutely.
So I was fortunate. I've gotten 67 genes tested. So like I said, my parents had the BRCA testing done prior to this all occurring, just because my grandmother had breast cancer at 42. But I do know that women can take precautions and get bilateral mastectomies that are prophylactic in nature, because if you look at the odds of getting breast cancer, if you are BRCA positive, it is astounding. Mm-hmm. And so, some people say ignorance is bliss, but I would much rather have gotten my breasts out if I had known I had a chance of getting breast cancer than ever having this occur in my life for us.
How can people connect with you on Facebook to watch your videos and follow your treatment? And
yeah, definitely. So we can be found either through Michael Allio or Laura Allio, and you spell our last name Allio. And you can just search us online, and I think we've been featured on the breast cancer blog and with Susan G. Komen as well, trying to help raise awareness.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you
so
for having
much.
us.
We really appreciate it.
We'll be right back with more Mind, Body, and Spirit.
I